وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وسندنا وشفيعنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد يسرنا القرآن للذكر فهل من مدكر صدق الله العظيم اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وارحم على عبدك ورسولك سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وسلم تسليما. This is my first time actually ever lecturing on Al-Balagh Academy, and this is also my first time using this particular portal to address you. So at this point I'm not actually even sure if any of you can hear me. I normally we have alhamdulillah taught online before, but that is through a different software in which there is a chat box on the bottom right side of the computer, and normally that was the way we would communicate with the participants and know that they are actually able to hear. I'm going to begin anyway with the assumption that you are able to hear. Okay, I actually can see there is a chat function here. All right, okay. So I want to give you an outline of what I'll be talking to you about briefly today. The first thing I want to do today is actually I want to introduce you to different ways of engaging the Quran al-Karim. This introductory part maybe have some overlap with some of your previous sessions because I'm a guest lecturer on your course. So I cannot say I'm conversant with what all you've been taught up till now. And then I will move to the main lecture, which was something that I was asked to do, and that is to talk about Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah ta'ala's theories in the Quran. I was originally asked to speak about a particular work of Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah ta'ala, which is known as the Kitab Jawahir al-Quran wa Dururu, which means the book of the jewels of the Quran and its pearls. However, I feel for the present audience, it would actually be more beneficial to talk about Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala's Ihya Ulumuddin, and book 8 out of 40 in that is the Kitab Adab Tilawat al-Quran, the book concerning the etiquettes and comportment and proper method and manner and feeling of reciting the Quran al-Karim. All right, and then I will mention to you a bit about the Jawahir al-Quran, and I will sort of try to give you a summary and some quotes from it, and perhaps then you will understand why that work is likely out of the reach both of myself, your instructor for today, and all of you, the participants and students. All right, so the first thing then, if we go back over here, is approaches to Quran al-Karim. So the first thing is obviously recitation. I know you may think this is a very simple topic, but I want to talk to you about some practical steps. So one is the amount of recitation, abundance of recitation. The critical thing here is the regularity of recitation. And the way you should plan this is that you want that on the Day of Judgment, when our Book of Deeds is opened, we should imagine that every single page in the Book of Deeds is like a day in our life. And we don't want any page in the Book of Deeds to be empty of recitation of Quran. So the way to do that is to make sure that there's no single day in our life which is empty of the recitation of Quran. Now, in order to make sure that it's not empty, sometimes I call this erasing the zeros. You can even recite for 30 seconds. You can recite for 1 minute. You can recite for 2 minutes. And that is the beginning of istiqamah. And many times, we're striving to have persistent regularity, perseverance, consistency, istiqamah in our a'mal, in our actions. But we are a bit too ideal. And we think, okay, the ideal amount of recitation should have been 1 juz a day or half a juz a day or we set some ideal amount of some other adhkar or sentences to recite or prayers to make, and you don't reach your ideal, it's going to be very hard to get an istiqamah on your ideal, but it's possible to begin istiqamah on a bare minimum amount. So you may set it as a few minutes, you may set it as a few lines, you may set it as a few ayat, you may set it as a page, but there has to be a daily recitation. So the key thing is daily, and make the daily as easy as possible. If you say I'm going to do one juz daily, you're not going to be able to do it, because most people, unfortunately, aren't able to recite that much daily. If you get to a time, I'm going to recite after Fajr daily, some days you may be too tired after your Fajr Salat to recite. You're not going to be able to do it daily. What you have to say is, in the entire 24 hours, I'm going to recite Quran al-Kareem for at least 3 minutes. If you set some bare minimum target that you can always add to and increase when you feel stronger, when you're less busy, when you're less lazy, you can add to it as much as you want, but it's a non-negotiable minimum. That will be something that you can actually do daily. So that's the first thing. The second thing is something that you would have obviously been taught by now, which is the correct pronunciation. I won't comment on that, but there can be discussions to be held. I would say that would be one of the things that, no doubt, I assume there are people who teach that online, but still it's better to have a live teacher who can, be physically present with you, facing one another, and can hear you recite. Here again, the target should be the first target. You can always set later targets after meeting the first one. The first target is that you should meet the bare minimum required for correct pronunciation. Not that you may have necessarily the most beautiful, melodious pronunciation, right? Okay. Another aspect of recitation is that however little or however much you may be able to recite in a particular day, there's another target you want to feel. Another target you want to set for yourself, and that is you should experience at least one feeling in that recitation. That may cause you to slow down. That may require you to linger on a word. That may require you that, look, I set one page, a minimum, and I finished the page, but I didn't feel anything. And so that's a problem, because you're not reciting just to complete a task or to complete a target. You're not reciting just to make incremental progress page by page to reach a khatam or a completion of the recitation of the whole Quran. Ultimately, you're reciting to be moved. You're reciting to be impacted. You're reciting to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're reciting so that your heart should change. So there should be one element, one drop, again, so the bare minimum. There should be one drop of feeling, one hint of feeling, one slight impact. Otherwise, your recitation isn't complete for that day. And you may have to search for that impact. And let's say after reciting whatever target you set and trying to linger, trying to pause, trying to reflect, and I'll come a bit later to meaning, you still couldn't get a feeling, maybe because your mind was so preoccupied that day, or you're, experiencing some worries, some difficulties in your life. Then the least you do then is you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put feeling in your heart. The least you do then is feel the feeling of shame or the feeling of remorse or the feeling of regret for not being able to felt anything while reciting Quran. The least one can do is to feel the feeling of yearning and wish and desire to feel the feelings of Quran al-Kareem. And this would be the bare minimum of recitation that I want to discuss for today. All right. Otherwise, it can be a long discussion about which surahs and which times and have come in the hadith about the merits and virtues of recitation, but that is not my topic. All right.